look at here. It is us once again. We are the Stars of Destiny podcast. I am your host, Marco Flores, Nerd in the Bay. On the other end is Luca Blight. Luca, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Welcome all Highlanders, Harmonians, and even, yes, you state pigs.
Yeah.
Enjoy the new podcast.
Yeah, it's been a while since, oh God, it's been a good while since our last episode. As content creators or Luca Blight trying to slay pigs on the other end, we get pretty busy, and we're trying to do our own thing, and we try to build up what we're trying to do on our own end. With like me just trying to build up the channel on my end, and Luca with streaming of a bunch of games. You've been doing Suikoden lately. You've been doing some Pokemon lately, as well as back to your mobile games on your YouTube channel as well. How's things been going on your end when it comes to creating content?
It's been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We've grown quite a bit since we last talked. Probably 3 times the amount. 3 times we've grown.
Yeah.
On both YouTube and Twitch. We've done quite well. We've got a lot of people in the community now, and it's going well. I'm really enjoying it. People are really enjoying the Suikoden playthroughs, especially. So
that's awesome.
That's I've had a lot of people ask, when's the next podcast? I'm like, well, soon.
Yeah.
And here we are.
And here we are. Yeah. Just almost like a full disclosure. Luca Blight just asked me hey, people are asking about it. So I was like, oh really? Okay. Well, shoot, let's go do another one. So yeah, it's just us here back in again. We're probably doing a reintroduction of ourselves since it's been a good while since we did our last podcast. And some things have been announced since then in terms of Eiyuden Chronicle updates and all that stuff. But we're gonna get into that. We're gonna be doing that. We're gonna be going through a top 10, which is gonna be pretty fun and cool. It's gonna be our top 10 characters that we connected with within the Suikoden series. So we're gonna be diving into that a little bit. And some of the news that's been going on since then. It's kind of like the most recent news when it comes to it. But yeah, as for me, again, just building the channel. I've been streaming more lately, at least once a week on Sundays, and we go through the rotation of like Wrestling Revolution 3D, and the current game is like 5 dates, so I'm trying to go through that as well. It's a pretty fun FMV game, just trying to get all the scenes and all that stuff. But we've at the middle of that, I was doing a Suikoden 2 playthrough, and I have not forgotten about it. I just once you want to cover a lot of games, then you just pile on that work of recording and editing and putting it out and streaming, and then you gotta plan all that stuff together. But anyways, if you're a content creator, you kind of know that what that deal is. So hang on, let me see. So let's talk about the first piece of news, which is the most recent update of Eiyuden Chronicle. Let me see. I'm looking up at the most recent email that came out today, basically. Looking at it, they were talking about the new backer store. It's basically what the backer store is anybody that's backed the project of Eiyuden Chronicle, that may have wanted to get the extra pieces of content that they were providing maybe at the tail end of the Kickstarter. You're able to purchase it additionally on top of what you put in for the backer level that you put in. So they're talking about the backer store. Let me see. I'm taking a look here. Anything that kind of stood out to you in terms of the backer store, Luca?
I love the fact that I have so many people that have dropped by the stream or whatever and been like, man, it really sucked because I missed the initial release of this. I wanted to back it so badly, and because I really wanted to be a part of that. And I felt really bad for people that didn't hear about it, because it did kind of come out of the blue. So having that ability to come into it now and kind of help out that way you wanted to get the stuff that was offered during the Kickstarter, that sticks out to me right away. I like that a lot. And then of course when we were talking about the
what are we talking
character profiles?
That quite
interested in those.
Yeah, the character profiles.
Marin,
as I see, as of most recent. I didn't get to see the past ones. Maybe the last months. Did they announce any additional characters before Marin?
No, it was Marin, and then there's a monster showcase.
I do see
they
that.
Have this. Yeah, it's like this. It's like a plant fish with a mouth. But
Oh
I
yeah,
love the monsters that are coming out. They're looking really cool.
yeah,
So I'm quite interested in that. So those would be the three main things: the monster, the character, and then of course just being able to go and back to Eiyuden Chronicle is just
yeah.
fantastic.
That's
I can't
cool.
wait for this game.
That's cool. Did you get any additional like components of like whatever that they were that they're selling in the new backer store? I haven't yet.
Not yet. Well, I'll be looking into that very soon.
Yeah, if I'm gonna get anything, it was gonna be the companion game. I guess like the kind of like the what were they describing it as, like Harvest Moon type game style,
Something like that.
something like
along those
that.
lines.
Yeah, so I was looking more towards that, and that was towards the very end of the Kickstarter. So maybe that I think they were mentioning about a T-shirt that was getting kind of pricey in it, but Murayama mentioned that the reason why the shirt is so pricey is because not only are you buying the shirt, you're also kind of supporting the game project itself. So yeah, give and take. If that's something that you have in your budget, by all means, and you want to support Eiyuden Chronicle, by all means, grab the shirt. I mean, if not, it's okay. If there's anything that you want to grab that's in that new backer store, by all means, go for it. But there's definitely going to be more new updates, as it seems to be monthly updates as we roll
As far
through.
as I'm concerned, if you buy the game, you're doing more than your fair share.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to just the main game. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people talking about, like the extra stuff that's put into it. That's cool and all. I'm so interested in just the regular game for now. We'll get into all, like, when I played any Suikoden, I went through the main story first and then checked out all the side stuff afterwards.
okay.
Just because the main games from these creators is always so compelling that I don't want to shift my focus away from it, especially when I'm first playing. When I'm first playing, I want all my focus on that main story. I don't want to ever leave it. And then my second playthrough is when we get into the side stuff. That's
Okay.
usually how I do things.
Oh, interesting. So when you first get into a like Suikoden game, or a eventually the Eiyuden Chronicle is just main story for you until like
Yeah.
okay, cool. That's interesting, because for me, in terms of a play style, I have to experience everything all at once as I go through the main story. So I'll experience the side stuff as I as I go through the main stuff. I do that with Suikoden. I'm probably gonna do this with Eiyuden. I do that with the Yakuza series as well. That's how I feel the wholeness of the game. For me personally.
To clarify what I mean by that is, like, stuff like cooking games and
Yeah.
fishing and stuff, right? Like, in any Suikoden, I made sure to get all 108 characters.
Sure,
Right?
yeah.
And did all the side stories. Final Fantasy VII Remake, made sure to do all the side mission stuff. But when it came to say Final Fantasy 15, fishing, that kind of stuff, I pushed that aside. All that kind of stuff, pushed that aside, and just went through the story and side missions and kind of stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's simply so because I don't want to take focus off the story. I want to just be lost in it.
Sure. Yeah. And those side things, you can get lost in it. And I mean, like I do that again. Like I mentioned,
Blitzball.
Blitzball. Oh yeah. Either
I started doing this because of Final Fantasy X. I started playing Blitzball and I forgot completely about the entire game. I played Blitzball for like 20 hours straight at one point, and then it was like, what happened in the main story?
Wait, what is the main story? What's the main game?
Seymour? Who's that?
Right.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, like whether you are training your initial players or you keep them as a family team. Like I kept them as a family team. I felt off. I didn't feel right trading them off to other like teams. I just kept it with the main team.
It's a business. You get the best player available.
It is. I mean, you can go that way too. Like in my heart of hearts, like I can't break them up. We got to build together. I just had that. That was my initial feeling. But like I could see just buying the best players and then just killing the league in that way.
You know how Luca Blight does. Solon G wasn't doing his job, so we
brought in Joey.
him, and we brought in Joey Blight. So Joey Atreides, who eventually became Blight. So and it worked out. I got Green Hell out of it. So.
There you go. Exactly. Oh man. But yeah. As we're kind of side tangenting, like what are your thoughts on the expansion for remake? Any thoughts there?
I'm conflicted.
Okay.
I'm conflicted on that because so it looks awesome. It looks absolutely beautiful. And the additional characters seem fun. I like how they're tying in the whole thing with Wutai and the other Avalanche members that are not extremists like Barrett. I like that kind of thing going along with it. You also get to see Tifa and Barrett when they were separated from Cloud, so I like seeing that as well. But it's only available for PS5. In normal circumstances, I'd be okay with this. In normal circumstances, you know, okay, it's a way to promote you to upgrade to the PS5. It sucks for some people, I get it. You know, they're not able to get the PS5, and that sucks. But that's how gaming's done it. We're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people have a lot of money. I think this is a poor choice on whoever decided this, whether it was Sony, whether it was the creators of Final Fantasy VII, whichever it might be. You know, yeah, from Square, or maybe both. I think this was a poor decision. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not a bad decision. But in my opinion, right now, I don't think it's a great move based on where we are in the world at this moment.
I see. Okay. No, that's good to know, because I have yet to play Remake, and seeing how this is coming out, like it makes me want to bypass, if anything, if I'm gonna bypass just getting the 4 version, and when I do get the 5, I'm thinking in my head I'm probably gonna get like some sort of master collection once it gets all put together, or like whatever, any kind of companion like
there is good news on that front.
So
if you have the PS4 version, say you bought the PS4 version, and then you go into the PlayStation Store on your PS5, you can upgrade to the PS5 version for free. That's right.
I forgot about that. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool to hear like what your thoughts on it. Okay. So back to what we were talking about in terms of, let me see. Actually, let's go ahead and move on to the top 10. We were asking, actually, we made an announcement that we were recording an episode, and we were asking for questions actually, and see what you're up to in terms of like your Suikoden journey, because I know people either play this like either yearly or just like annually. So we would love to hear what you guys are doing in terms of Suikoden like content, whether you're streaming it, whether you're going through the games, reading the books, whatever it is. We would love to hear it. So whenever the next time we record a podcast, we'd love to read it off. We'd love to hear your questions and hear like what our thoughts would be in terms of the questions and all that stuff. So but we're going to go ahead and move on to let me see, there's actually an update on one of the PSP games that was announced, a translation way back. Let's dial it back like maybe a year and a half ago, where a translation was released that was using I believe like a Google translation, like with its release of the Suikoden PSP game, that it was not shipped here in the States, or not shipped here like on the other side of the world. It was just PSP like Japan, and that's it pretty much. So I personally checked it out. I was trying to play through it in the beginning, and of course when you play, like say with the emulator, it looks going to look more updated depending how your computer can handle it and stuff like that. But I had an issue playing it in the very beginning section of the game, because every time I went through almost the first section of cutscenes, it would crash, and I wouldn't be able to progress through that, even though I tried to save like right before, and try to almost power my way through that. It was buggy at best. Like enemies weren't showing up in the first section, so I didn't know what I was hitting. Like the characters didn't have their weapons. Like it was very buggy as using the Google translation as like a version of the game that that can be translated. If not able to speak Japanese. But let's see. I'm going by the Gensopedia.org Twitter, and saying that they're collaborating with Suikoden Revival and Twisted Phoenix to create a translated and localized version of Suikoden Woven Web of Centuries to be able to play here, to be able to be understood here. Luca, have you ever played the PSP version in any form or fashion of this PSP game?
Not.
Okay.
I have not. There was no translations to it, and like you said, hearing from you that this one it was buggy at best when you had the Google translation. So I kind of stayed clear of that. You know, I was hoping for a translation one day, and here it is.
Yeah.
So when I do get my hands on it, you can bet your whole bank account that we're going to be streaming that. It's going to be my first playthrough of Suikoden. People get to see my first playthrough of Suikoden.
There you go. There you go. And that's going to be the fun part. Is like it's a game that a lot of like majority of us like Suikoden like fan base have not been able to play because they never translated it over here. And when people were trying to translate it, they needed some funding through it because it was probably outsourced to like just like a group of translators, and they not able to do it for free. They got to be able to get some sort of payment to be able to translate and get this thing done. But whatever time it takes for this, by all means, we have time right now. So when this is ready to go, I'm gonna be covering it myself on my channel as I'm slowly gonna go through the Suikoden games on my end. I'm very excited that we're gonna be able to play a pretty much fully translated Suikoden woven web of centuries, the PSP game, because we never played it at all, and I hope you guys are excited about that, because it's not. If you never heard of the PSP version, PSP game, it doesn't tie along the lines of the mainline series. It's more or less connected with the DS game, Suikoden Characters. It's talking about portals and realities and that's stuff like that. It's not going to be true runes, and holy harmonia and stuff like that. It's more along the lines of the DS game, and they were kind of expounding about in that way with the DS game and now the PSP game. Maybe there's going to be a revival. I mean, Konami has their Suikoden store, but I have my personal thoughts and feelings on that. So that's it. That was just the next announcement when it comes to a Suikoden announcement, is the PSP game being translated. Finally.
I hope there's a prosperity rune for you to miss.
Yeah, right. or like because you kind of put that stigma on me of having the chef. I'm having the idea of using a chef, and then like the next games I play, of some sort of chef, or just like having the non-fighters in my group and just go through it with those games, and just go through it. Yeah, it's
quite funny on Twitch. Once in a while, I'll get asked, "Where's the frying pan guy?"
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah, man. You don't know, man. I think they might have the strength that you won't realize, and just smack these enemies really hard as you get the zoom up critical.
I mean, I doubt it, but
hey, yeah, just gotta see an experiment.
It's all right.
Let's see. So moving on to the next part, the main part of the topic of the podcast, we're gonna go through our top 10 characters that we've connected with the Suikoden series. We're ranging from 1 to 5, and these characters that we connected, whether it's through story, it's just they're going through their story beats of like the things that they went through, maybe on a personal level with their backstory, the things that how they are as a character. So we're gonna be going through that. So like I mentioned, we're going to be doing a top 10 characters that we've connected with, and it's going to span from 1 to 5. So let's go ahead and just jump in, get started. I'll do my first one on top 10. Is a guy from 5. He was pretty significant in the beginning, and then he kind of went to the background like towards the middle and end of Suikoden 5. You just more or less that's silent, or like doesn't say much type of character. Did what he needed to do under the pressures of let me see. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember. Was he a Barrows gladiator, or was he?
Yeah, Lord Barrows.
Yeah, he was a Barrows gladiator, and he needed to do what he needed to do, but he was basically under under slavery to be
He was
able
from an enemy nation.
Yeah, he was from an enemy nation, so like he just needed to do what he needed to do, right? Basically to survive and live. But I appreciated his story. I appreciated what he was going through. Just almost following orders just to survive in a sense. Not like I relate that in any way, but I just appreciate what he was doing and kind of becoming stronger through it. So yeah, that's my number 10. What's your number 10, Luca?
Just a interesting point on Zagai. For those that you don't know, if you bring Zagai to the battle where you where you attack Stormfist, you actually can have a duel between him and Kilderic. Instead of the main character, because Zagai will pop out and say, "Hey, I missed my chance to fight this guy. Let me fight him."
Nice.
And Zagai will come in and clean his block. But also similarly, they can do the same thing with Belku. If you bring both, they both present their case as to why they should be the one chosen to fight Kilderic in your stead. Which, of course, you can still choose the main character to do. But I mean, come on, it's super fun to let Zagai get that revenge in there.
Oh, nice.
And show that he would have won.
Okay, I may have missed.
Really cool.
I may have missed that if that was the case. But that's cool. That's cool to know when I go through 5 again for the next time. Oh, that's cool though. Okay. All right. What's your number 10?
Number 10. The Black Knight Peshmerga.
Okay. So why Peshmerga?
Suikoden 1 and Suikoden 2. So the reason why I'm picking him, a lot of my stuff is story driven, based on like how people react to them and their stories and whatnot. And a lot of the reason why Peshmerga was chosen for me was because of the mystery surrounding him and his rivalry with Uber. So mysterious Black Knight carries a big crimson sword. He's, of course, edgy, so his kids really loved him. His gold trim, really nice. But his personality, he's very steadfast, right? Focused on one thing and finding Uber, or tracking down whoever the current master is, and he's not afraid of anybody, right? So Uber had teamed up with Necklord and Windy. Peshmerga doesn't care. He's still coming for you.
Yeah.
And then there is something that is kind of interesting with his story that was given to you. It's on the Suikoden wiki, so you can take for it however you want. But it kind of delves deeper into what happened during the final fight with the Liberation Army, when Uber was the head commander. So now it does say that following the defeat of the Imperial Army outside Grandminster, Uber uses the 8 Devil formation, which is that rune he uses in Suikoden 3. Which is it's a magical formation, and it would have confused the enemy during battle, but Peshmerga was able to see through this and lead the charge towards the weak spot of the formation, disrupting Uber's ranks. He found Uber, a duel occurred. Unfortunately, Uber ran away after only a few strikes, and then after the Torrent Liberation War, he continued to pursue Uber, loses track of him in Suikoden 3, and we don't know if Peshmerga is dead or not by that point. So that's why he is my number 10, is the awesome story between him and Uber and the awesome mystery surrounding him.
Cool. All right. Yeah, Peshmerga is pretty up there it sucks that his story is kind of left unfinished at this point, because dude was a badass, and he was just gunning for now the name's escaping me. Uber. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Full disclosure, I had the second shot of my vaccine, so like I literally am almost out of sorts from yesterday. Like I was really knocked out, and I just went through the body reactions of that. But Peshmerga was a badass, and I would love to have seen like the closure of that kind of that story arc between him and Uber. Was there anything else that came out like through like compendium books or?
Not really.
No, just it was just after 2 or like the guidance. That was it.
Yeah, they never really caught up with them after that point. Of course, Uber's story follows into 3, but we don't get anything with Peshmerga after Suikoden 2. It's just kind of gone after that. Yeah,
that's unfortunate. All right, my number 2. It's weirdly enough, it's because I appreciated what the DS Turquoise game was trying to do, and I like the designs of the characters that they had out there. My number 9 is Migan or Migayan. He was part of. Let me see. He was part of the Furious Roar tribe, which is kind of like the beasts, the beast tribe that was in the DS game. He was Dilof's rival. He wasn't like the main like tribal chief, but he was like the rival, almost like not the Scar, because Scar was like, like yeah, but Megan was like more of like a strong rival compared to Dilf. I'm trying to make sure I say that right. But yeah, just a a beast of a person, and with the strong attacks rivaling the tribal chief of the Furious Roar, and then coming together once you get to recruiting mode with Sieg and the gang. Just being able to have that, and of course, unite. I'm pretty sure they had a unite in that as well. Otherwise, you could just having the Furious War tribal chief of Dilf and Megan in one party. It's like it's almost overpowered. But I like what Megan's style, and just I don't know. I guess I had that connection of like being the secondary character of like a main thing. So like I appreciated that in some form or fashion. But yeah, that's my number 9. But what's your number 9, Luca?
Moving on to number 9, Suikoden 3, the other Black Knight, Yuber, also known as Yuba, I guess. The reason, again, why I'm picking him, similar to Peshmerga, is because of the mystery surrounding him, but also who was not hyped when they heard that Yuba was a star of destiny in Suikoden 3. Right away, you're intrigued right there. This guy, appears mysteriously and vanishes just as mysteriously as he comes. He's very powerful. He's run on very few emotions, and those emotions are basically just anger. He, of course, bears the Eightfold Rune, a true rune of unknown capabilities. He is one of the very few that you see in the game that can actually summon monsters, right? So, of course, Sarah can, Wendy can, but Yuba also can. He summons the Bone Dragon in Green Hill and Suikoden 2 against you. He, of course, has these, this ongoing controversy with Peshmerga. There's a big, drama behind this. The story of him is so fantastic, and the fact that he joins up with Luke because he literally just wants to cause more chaos and destruction, because he calls himself Chaos Incarnate, right? So that's why I pick Yuba, is because, again, people are so drawn to this guy due to, his edginess and his, maybe not his Michael Jackson look, but the rest of it, the rest of it was great. So he comes in at number 9. The reason why, we might have some people that go, why are these guys so low? Because mystery can only bring you so far.
Yeah.
Right? For all we know, Uber stole his lunch money, and that's why Peshmerga wants to beat him up.
That's what it is.
We don't know, right? So it could be lame.
Yeah.
So mystery plays a large part in it, but it can't be everything. So that's why they are number 10 and number 9.
Gotcha. Okay. So for my number 8, we have Galleon from Suikoden 5. Galleon, he's that elder warrior guardian type that I basically, when I played my first run through of Suikoden 5, I made him the tank. So I believe I gave him, what was the rune that was basically like all the attacks go to that person if they have that rune equipped. Yeah, do you know what that rune was called, or?
I actually forget the name of it right now.
Okay. Yeah.
You got me on the spot.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name. I'm trying to remember. But
yeah. So in terms of for using Galleon, I gave that rune to him. So all the attacks went to him basically. So he became my tank for the group. So yeah, I had him in the front line, gave him that rune. So like everybody else was available to do whatever they needed to do, damage, heal, whatever. But yeah, but even beyond the play style, he was that guardian type when it came to even with the story beats, just being that seasoned veteran, that just that person that's been there like as long or even longer than some of the other knights that were there. So yeah, Galleon was my number 8, and yeah, how about you? What's your number 8, Luca?
Well, staying with Suikoden 5, mine, again, due to story and mystery, is Zerase.
Zerase.
And
okay.
so the reason why I've chosen her is there's so much surrounding her. And this character easily could have been up much higher in my top 10 had she had another game.
Yeah.
Had she had more to flesh out her character, but unfortunately only had the one game for her. But she's a very unique character. She bears a very unique rune called the Star Rune. Now this is commonly called a true rune. It is not. Just like the Dawn rune and the Twilight rune were born of the Night rune, so was the Star rune. It's a unique rune, but it is not a true rune, right? This is talked about during the game very, very briefly. But this rune is extremely powerful. You've seen that, right? So
yeah.
Levi, who's like the scholar, the rune magician, he's the one that kind of talks about it, how she has a one-of-a-kind rune like the Dawn rune. So that's where we get that. She has an incredible amount of knowledge when it comes to the three main runes in the Queen of Felena. It kind of makes you question what her connection with these runes really is, because she is one of the few people that knows the secret of Jean, right? Jean being the ancient one that spans across all of the Suikoden games, who never ages a day, who has a ton of mystery surrounding her. Zerase seems to know exactly who she is, and also kind of bows to her a little bit when she questions, Jean about the Sun rune, and the Twilight rune. She says, "I'll have to accept it, knowing it was you." So she actually knows a ton of stuff. When it comes to Lanknot, she is somewhat of a servant, I guess. I don't want to call it servant, because she even says, "Are you giving me an order?" When it comes to Zerase joining you in the 5th game. There's tons more on Zerase that I could cover. She knows everything about the Sindar, although she refuses to tell us. She just knows an insane amount about the Sun rune. And her personality herself is, some people see it as smug, but I also see it as she's holding a pretty big burden.
Yeah.
She has this overwhelming knowledge of something that humans aren't ready for, and she's kind of trying to guide you. She's actually, quite nice to join you and give you her power. So I would say she's my number 8, only due to the fact that we didn't get to see more of her. But what we did see of her was incredible. It was really mystifying. So she's got a lot of mystery and story all tied in together, as well as a very strong character. So Zerase is my number 8.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. She was pretty up there in terms of like just the depth of character of who she is, and like again, like you were just mentioning how knowledgeable she was in terms of the runes. I kind of like matched her up like almost maybe same status wise as like her to Leknot, just like the fact that she was just that knowledgeable, and yeah, she just had that aura against with her. Like maybe she could have been like the opposite of Leknot. Maybe she same level of some sort, or whatever you can think about, like headcanon, whatever you want to think of like a fanfic. Zerase had that same feeling of a Leknot, of a Windy, of just being that knowledgeable, that powerful, and yeah, it sucks that we just had one game that we only had to see her in. So yeah, I would have to agree with that. That's a good number 8. My number 7, is okay. So my number 7 is going to be going to Fuma from Suikoden 1. Fuma, kind of, he's like almost like a self-taught ninja in a sense, right? Because he's not a part of the Hanzo clan, and he's practicing like basically by himself and trying to become a ninja of some sort, or become accepted of a ninja. So Fuma is just for my number 7, just the effort that he put in, and kind of the importance of battle, of what he does. when it comes to Fuma. Just being able to succeed every single time that you want to know what your next enemy, like your opponent's next choice is going to be. But yeah, beyond that, Fuma gets a little bit more backstory in terms of 2, just a little bit. But beyond that, wish we could have saw a little bit more with Fuma and with Hanzo, a little with Hanzo as well. But yeah, the ninja starts to become like finicky as the games progress. But yeah, Fuma is my number 7. So how about you? What's your number 7?
Good pick with Fuma. He's a very interesting character. Actually, if you check out his stats, he's actually better than Kage.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
If
you wanted to use ninjas throughout your playthrough, which
Yeah.
I've done before, if you take a look at him, he is probably the best of all the ninjas you get.
I do like their unites.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Yeah.
My number 7 goes all the way back to both Suikoden 1 and all the way back in terms of years to Suikoden 4 Ted.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm picking Ted, once again, I'm a story-driven guy, and who doesn't have as much story as Ted? Ted's history in Suikoden 1 mixed with his journey in both the prelude to Suikoden 1 and in his journey in Suikoden 4, having his struggles with the Soul Eater. As far as we know, he carried the Soul Eater longer than anybody else in the history of Suikoden, carrying it for 300 years. He's fought in, technically only one war, but he did help out a little bit with the Liberation Army in Suikoden 1, but we got to see the extent of his power using this rune in Suikoden 4 mostly. So
Yeah.
most of my memories actually come from him in 4 due to the fact that he was just so strong and so apparent as someone you're going to pick, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're picking out your team, it's like immediately you're thinking, okay, well, we have to pick Laszlo, but at the same point, all right, well, Ted's coming.
Yeah.
So
You have the Soul Eater. You literally have the Soul Eater. So.
Correct. He has a very powerful rune, but he himself is very powerful.
Yeah.
His connection with Windy and Uber and Necklord, his ability to survive 300 years being chased by these people, and then also dealing with the fact that he's cursed. I love Ted for so many different reasons. I could make an entire episode on Ted. So I'll cut it there, as he is my number 7.
Nice. Nicely done. Okay, so for me, my number 6 is also from Suikoden 4, and it's Carl. So Carl is he's an interesting one. Not so much of story, but just like you're going to start to see the trend as we go down the lesser numbers, or as we go more important in terms of numbers. But like Carl is that hand-to-hand guy. He has a kick-ass mustache, has like battle scars, on his chest and on his body, but he's just literally just hand-to-hand, just martial, like fist, like hand-to-hand fighting, and he's just like he's a badass with it. And I love. There's a unit. I'm forgetting what unite he does with somebody right now, but he has a sick unite with someone. I'm forgetting who it is. It's like the partners section is up first, and then Carl jumps in and does like this hand-to-hand combination, and it looks beautiful. With the Suikoden 4 engine, because 4 was like the most beautiful graphically wise. I think. I feel like that's where the most budget went into, like the Suikoden series was in 4. With the just how it looked basically, and the flow of all the moves and the unites and all that stuff. So yeah, Carl, he hits that hand-to-hand itch that I have for characters when it comes to the Suikoden series. But yeah, Carl's my number 6. Who's your number 6?
My number 6 goes back to Suikoden 1 and 2. We have the Gunner Clive.
There you go.
Once again, story-driven and drama-based. He comes from, he's one of the only guys smart enough to use the gun, first of all.
Yeah, right.
Fantastic there. Comes from the Howling Voice Guild. Now, I could do, again, an entire episode on the Howling Voice Guild. These guys are, well, maybe not an entire episode, but these guys are pretty interesting. When it comes down to, chasing Elza across not 1 but 2 games, right?
Yeah.
You don't really see it happen in the first game unless you bring him to Rockland. if you bring him to Rockland at the end of Suikoden 1 and go up and press X on one of the tombstones, he will actually read out something that Elsa left him, saying that she had already died. He's like, I'm not falling for that one.
Yeah.
So you move on into Suikoden 2, you see that whole thing happen in Muse with, you know, the controversy going on there, and then he's chasing her around. Finally tracks her down, beats her in a battle that she kind of just let him win because she was tired of running, and then revealed the truth to him that, you know, she was set up, that she didn't actually kill their former guild master. It was set up, and then he goes back and becomes the leader of the Howling Guild, actually. Only if you do that side mission. So just based on his personality, who he is in the game, his drama, and of course his continuous story, and also being from Harmonia is kind of cool too. Yeah. That makes him my number 6.
Nice doing. Yeah. My number 5, it falls along with the hand-to-hand theme. It's Emily from Suikoden 3. Being the daughter of Ronnie Bell and was it Mos? Is it Mos that's the father? Or at least one of the blacksmiths. Not to say that she's a capable blacksmith, because you don't get to see that. You just get to see her strength. And the way that you were able to recruit her is you basically need a full party to be able to recruit her at the first instance. Maybe if you just had higher strength characters, that you're able to recruit her. But it a lot of the times when I see Suikoden 3 streams, it would usually take like a full party of, you know, maybe like a mixture of not that strong people, but maybe have some strength. But when you get to like level her in some, like in terms of her tactics and giving her combination attack and strength and accuracy and all that jazz, she is a powerhouse that is almost OP if you want to go that route. And if you're kind of trying to level her up and equip her the best as possible, yeah, she can have a party of just her, if anything, to be able to just take out a enemy, like a party enemy. But yeah, Emily is just like that badass of hand to hand, and yeah. If there was a 7 and, you know, people grew up, I would have loved to see what a grown-up Emily would look like and just be more badass than she already is in 3. So yeah, that's my number 5. What's your number 5, Luca?
My number 5, sticking with Suikoden 3, Sasarai.
Sasarai. Oh,
so
nice.
Once again, we're going with you know, history and story. That's just a common theme with me.
Mm-hmm.
Sasarai is a bishop of Harmonia. That alone kind of makes him a little bit more interesting, but he also bears the True Earth rune.
Yes.
This is an exceedingly powerful rune, which is funny. It's in contrast to Luke's True Wind rune. Funny enough, they are, in quotations, brothers, as they are both clones of Emperor Hikosak, the high priest who runs the Holy Kingdom of Harmonia.
Right.
So that alone already kind of puts a lot of interest into him. He was in Suikoden 2 briefly, but Luke did away with him using his True Wind rune. Having Sasarai, he's not just a puppet of Harmonia or whatever. He's very, very intellectual and can see problems developing, as he saw when he was invading Grassland. He kind of realized that, you know, there was someone behind the scenes manipulating, and that's why he ends up joining your side and ends up helping you towards the end, and you get to see his awesome power. So with the combination of his incredible power and also just how level-headed this guy is, and again with the story that backs him up, along with a little bit of mystery, because you kind of, you know, you want to know more about him because he is a clone of Emperor Hikosak. So you're trying to, you know, where does this come from, and, you know, what's Hikosak actually like? Because is he more like Luke, or is he more like Sasarai? Is he more in between? But Sasarai as a character himself, I really enjoyed, and the only reason why he's not higher is because, again, same as Arase, we didn't get to see him in many other games. And even when we did see him in Suikoden 3, we only got to use him for a short period of time. So that's why he doesn't go up higher. But that is my pick.
Nice. All right. So now moving on to number 4. My number 4 is Fusulu. is it confirmed that he's a kobold, or he's literally just a man in like in a tiger's like mask? Is there anything that confirms that?
We don't know. He could
don't
be.
Know?
He could be the. He could be a tiger man. He could be just a man inside a tiger suit.
Yeah, like it's kind of weird. Yeah, if anybody that knows that has the confirmation, or is more than likely be on the wiki. But yeah, Fusulu is my number 4, I believe. Yeah, my number 4. Because he was just strong. He was just strong. Basically, like I was just like, yeah, this is the guy when it comes to like strength and hits. But you know, there was a limitation.
Oh, I thought we were being facetious about this. No, he does just wear a tiger mask.
He does wear a tiger mask. Okay. Yeah.
No. I didn't know. You actually didn't know. I'm sorry. He's a man that wears the tiger mask.
I was half sure, but half not. So like, I just needed a confirmation. Like, oh, someone tell me. if
sorry, I thought I was just kind of being.
Oh no, you're good. We're all good. You're all good.
Yeah. He just wears a tiger mask.
Gotcha.
Sorry,
okay.
Everybody.
It's all good. Yeah. Maybe he was a pro wrestler around those times, and we didn't get to see that part of the world of Suikoden, pro wrestling.
I want to mess with him.
Yeah. Right. Having dual axes, just slashing his competition, like his enemies away, being able to eat a whole lot. That's how you're able to recruit him. You just have to pay his bill. But he was that frontline soldier, and he had the strength of it, of a squad basically. And yeah, like that attracted me to him. Like, yes, like that dude's a badass. He looks great. But there was not much more else beyond that. But he was accepted into the Kobold Village. But yeah, I wish we saw a little bit more of him. Maybe like, you know, some backstory with him, or maybe like just him showing up in a sequel. But yeah, that was my number 4 pick was Fusulu. How about you? What's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4. Some people might find this a little bit odd, but she is in Suikoden 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and
wow.
even so yeah, she's in all of them. Vicky. Now the reason why I picked Vicky again is that massive mystery surrounding her, and there is 2 Vickies. There's Kid Vicky, and then there's Adult Vicky, and Kid Vicky is actually much more mature. So the reason why is, again, there's a huge mystery, and the fact that she has the small Vicky has an insane amount of knowledge, right? She's very, very knowledgeable. She's very, very strong as well. And the fact that I've always had a theory. Now, I don't, some people don't agree with me on this one's fine. I've had the theory that she doesn't march through the order timeline-wise. I don't think, some people think she goes, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. I believe she travels with the player. I believe she goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and
she goes back and forth.
I think she blinks through time. And the reason why I think this is because in Suikoden 5, she mentions that the castle in Suikoden 5 feels like she's been there before. She feels like it's very familiar to her. Well, we all felt that because that castle was very similar to the castle in Suikoden 1, right? A castle in the middle of a lake that was vertical in the air.
Yeah.
So I believe that she travels through time, not through there, and that's why I've always kind of liked her. Is the fact that she's a reoccurring character that never kind of really breaks character, other than the young Vicky.
Yeah.
But she's actually very powerful, both young Vicky and adult Vicky. She has an interesting rune and an awesome backstory. She's one of the few people that will know all the people throughout this Suikoden game, so that's why she's my number 4.
Yeah, Vicky, that's a good pick. My number 3. We're winding it down to the top 3. My number 3 is now it kind of breaks the chain so far. Is Futch, showing up in 1, being there in 2, and as well as 3. So there's a little bit of a story thing. You're seeing the journey of Futch when you see him in 1, and then as the things happen in 1, losing his dragon, and finding a new dragon in 2, and then you see who he potentially becomes in 3. which was great to see because like, oh man, people grew up, and oh wow, there goes the new dragon, and like everybody grew up, and it looks great, and he has a big ass sword, and like that's awesome, and yeah, again, you can have that brokenness if you pair up Bright with Futch if you wanted to, and then like also with man, Fubar and help me out, Fubar and.
Oh, Fubar and Hugo?
Hugo, there it is. Oh, man, Fubar and Hugo, yeah, just you can have that brokenness of just mounted combatants and like additional strikes and all that stuff. So, yeah, Futch, I just loved seeing the journey of progression of what he went through from 1 to 3, and it was great to see. So, yeah, that's my number 3.
So my number 3. Suikoden 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and tactics. You guessed it, it's Jean.
Oh, okay.
Jean is a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Yeah.
At first, when you first see her in Suikoden 1, she's just some flirty rune mistress. Fast forward to Suikoden 2, you still feel the same way. Go to Suikoden 3, if you didn't know that Suikoden 3 was 15 years in the future, you wouldn't have mind so much, but you do know this is stated. So 15 years later, she still seems the exact same age. Weird,
Yeah.
Okay, some people can just do that. Now we're going to reverse time.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go 150 years back into the past. And, you find that out kind of later in the game. It takes quite a bit to find out exactly where you are. They don't do a good job of explaining it, but once you do know this, and then you run across, you guessed it, Jean, you're going, okay, what is up with this?
What's up, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
At least, Vicky, we have an explanation. She can blink through time. What is Jean doing here? Fast forward a little bit, not just a little bit, 147 years later, into Suikoden 5, and then you really get the mystery going.
Yeah.
You get to see her interact with Zarase, and you get to see her meddling with the 3 runes of Felena. You get to see the fact that Zarase, who has shown a lot of disrespect towards everybody, respects Jean very heavily. Another one in 3 that if you had, kind of delved a little deeper into, you find out that if you walk around with Koruku the dog,
yes, and
you talk to Jean, she says the phrase, "You can see me for what I really am." What she really is, I want to know.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying is, she's not just a pretty face. There's something else with Jean. She takes you down into abandoned ruins that are older, according to her, older than the Sindarian race itself.
Yeah.
And has a lot of experience with this. She has that interaction with Esh. There's so much mystery with Jean and so much story surrounding her that just keeps you coming back and wanting more, and it will bother people forever now. So that's why Jean is my number 3, as she's not just powerful in the party when you finally actually get to use her, and she's also got a crazy history.
Yeah, she's our Jean in the Suikoden series. I would have to say that she's our lady. What is her name from Resident Evil Village? Lady Ryusku.
I haven't played Resident Evil Village yet.
You see her in the pictures. She's like giant vampire lady, looking hot and all that stuff. Like she was that to us for the Suikoden series, and she's like going back in the past, she's just looking like more hotter because she's wearing less clothes. But yeah. So like that was Jean for us, and for us to. Oh man, we wish that we were able to find out who she really is, but unfortunately we have to leave that to like our imaginations, if anything. But yeah, that's cool. That was your number 3, you said?
Yep.
All right, cool. Now we're down to the last 2. My number 2, following the martial arts theme, is Wakaba. Wakaba, oh man, I found out about her my second playthrough of Suikoden 2. I didn't really use her myself. I just first time around, you just play the game. I don't think I got all the characters in the first run. Second run, yeah, I got everybody, and I found Wakaba. I was like, oh man, she's such a badass. She's like, her attacks, like she's able to attack like multiple times on one leg, and and she's just using kicks, and she has a master that's diving somewhere else, but
Dine and dash.
Yeah, dine and dashing, and yeah, when you put them together, they have a great like a badass unite, just multiple attacks, and just like you just need to be able to like just buffer up, and they can do some damage together. But like single wise, like she was doing great, and then you find that way that you recruit her is with Rio. It's like, hey, she was like, I'm looking for a strong person, and Rio's like, hey, I'm pretty strong. Rio does a stance, like, oh, she's like, oh, that's amazing, and then you recruit her right then and there. So yeah, like Wakaba, like ever since I seen her in the second run of my playthrough of Suikoden 2, oh yeah, she's the one. She's part of the permanent party. But yeah, that's my number 2. Who's your number 2, Luca?
My number 2, Suikoden 1, 2, and 3. We have the other clone of Hikusak, Luke.
Yeah.
So Luke is. I'm very interested in Luke. Right from Suikoden 1, he seemed a little different than everybody else. Like, sure, he had a bit of an attitude, but he was a very young kid with a lot of power, sleeping down low. And, like, he was, the only Crowley was a better magician than him. He was so strong. And then you move on to Suikoden 2, and once again, he's in, like, the top 3 for mages. He's super strong. And you see that story developing with Harmonia and Sasurai. How he's connected to Lunknot, and you find out later that he was actually, depending on how you want to look at it, either abducted or rescued from one temple in Harmonia. But he's consistently throughout the story of 1, 2, and 3, which is the most prominent. Now he's very polarizing to some people because he did try to destroy an entire continent. But through him, you get to see what the runes actually are. He explains what it is. I mean, this is something we actually could do an entire episode on, is what the runes actually are and what they want. But he shows you exactly what it is and why he has to destroy this rune. And you kind of empathize with him. You kind of like, showing some empathy towards him, being like, wow, I never really understood. But also, screw you, stop trying to kill an entire continent full of people.
Exactly.
But at the same point, he's got so much story to him. He's one of the few Suikoden characters that just isn't surrounded in mystery that wasn't fleshed out. We finally got to see it all, right? We see why he hates the world. We see why he's doing what he's doing, but he's still, he doesn't want to do it, but he feels like he has to do it. And so between being extremely powerful and a person with conviction in what they have to do or feel they have to do, just really makes me rank Luke extremely high in this, especially being the only mystery left of him being a clone of Hikusak. And what exactly will Hikusak look like? Obviously, probably something along the lines of Luke and Sasurai, but it just ties back into the whole mystery of Hikusak. So that's why Luke is my number 2.
Nice. All right, down to the number 1. So my number 1. I mean, if you've seen, I often say when like people ask like who's your favorite character and all that stuff, and I usually go to this as like beyond the main characters. My number 1 is Pawn from 1 and a little bit of 2. You see a little bit of him in 2. Is Pawn from 1. Basically, his journey from where you see him from, from beginning and ending of 1, and then like you see a little bit after of 2. His was a very human like journey, because he was there as basically a bodyguard for Tyr, and things happen where Tio had to go up north, try to make sure those defenses are set, and so Pawn was one of the people that had to make sure Tyr was going to be okay when he started his own thing. And then something happened with with the revelation of Ted, and then with Pawn like not wanting to like cause any trouble, he decides to report it, and doesn't want to make any trouble for Tio, so eventually goes against Tyr and Gremio and Cleo in the group in that sense, and you don't see him for a while until he gets called back after the LaPont thing is being concluded, and he feels this like ache of like, oh man, I know what I did was wrong to you guys, but I don't regret the decision because, again, don't want to cause trouble. But my heart aches because, like, oh man, I went against you guys. And so then you definitely see the turnaround right after that, and what he was willing to do to protect, Tyr and the gang and the army, just being able to defend by himself against Tio 1-on-1, and depending if you leveled up Pawn enough, or if you did or you didn't, you almost saw like a fate of Pawn if you didn't level him up enough. But if you did, then you were able to see, like, he's not perfect, but he's making his way and he's trying to do what is right when it comes to people that he cares about. And then you find out, like, oh yeah, he came back home because he needed more money on his journey. But it was a great, like, conclusion to see, where he stood, from the beginning, and then where his journey took him, even though he did some wrongdoing, in the middle there. But he kind of redeemed himself as well towards the end, I would say. But yeah, that's my number one. So who's your number one in terms of connected characters or Suikoden?
Well, I did make sure that this list was completely Stars of Destiny, because number one would have been Luca Blight, obviously. So this is Stars of Destiny for anybody wondering why you haven't seen Luca or any of these other villains show up. It is just Stars of Destiny that I've limited this to. Mine is the Chuck Norris of the Suikoden world, George Prime.
George Prime, there you go.
This dude is probably the most influential character across Suikoden's world, so that's why I have to go with him. He's known as Deathblow George in the English version. I guess in the Japanese version, it's roughly translated into no need for another strike. So, like, he finishes it one blow.
One blow.
He's been across all the continents, right? He's been as far north as the Grasslands. He was the former leader of the Ebony Moon Knights. He was as far south as Queen Muflena, as we know, as he was one of the Queen's Knights. This guy was also a part of the Great Six Generals, not Great Five, because we always talk about five. But he was, at some point before the Succession War, George was appointed one of the six great generals in the Scarlet Moon Empire, Barbarossa and Ragnar. It was during that conflict he earned his nickname Deathblow George. This dude has so much history surrounding him when it comes to tying with other characters like Farid, and with even like Tyr's father, Tio McDowell, and all those guys. And then you have the Suikoden 2, where he doesn't have as much to do with the story in Suikoden 2, but in Suikoden 5 he's really, really in there. And of course you find out the history of this guy, and he doesn't have a true rune.
No.
He's probably the most influential guy in all of Suikoden, and he doesn't have a true rune, not that we know of at least. And he's so powerful, and he's just so his character himself is just so confident and so calm at the same point in time. It just draws you to him, right? So there's lots of strong characters that just lose their temper, like Lapont, very strong but would lose his temper. Victor, very strong, bit of a dummy. You had all these like super strong guys, but they always had these weird flaws about them personality wise. But when it came down to George, this guy he's just so calm, so relaxed, and he loves being around his friends, and he's just that type of leader. You could argue that this guy could be a main character, like if you wanted to have him as a main character of a story. He might be better than Tyr, he might be better than Laszlo, or better than Rio. He might be better than these guys because everyone's drawn to him, right? He's the type of guy that would walk into a room and immediately change the tone, and everybody would notice this guy. He's incredible, and I think there's a strong reasoning of why he has so many fans throughout the Suikoden fan base. So that is my number one, George Prime. Nicely
done. Yeah, George. Oh man, I would have to agree with you. Yeah, George is a badass. He doesn't have a rune that we know, but he was tempered in all the things that he's done to be that much of a badass that like he almost doesn't need one. He probably prefers not to have one just because he wants to see what he's able to do, and he handicaps himself. If he handicaps himself, with the eye patch, just because, It wasn't like, oh man,
It's a reminder.
it was just like, oh man, my eye is hurt or like his eye is damaged. It's like, no, he's all good. He wanted to see like,
It was a reminder due to he got, as I said before, like had his personality that evolved, and he tells you that it evolves because when he was younger, he was very brash, right? And that's what got him struck in the face, and he nearly lost his eye. And Farid actually came in and saved him.
Yeah.
Legitimately, George says he was in a vulnerable position because of his attitude at the time as a young man, and Farid saved him, which is why he owed him and came to Felena in the first place. But he's one of those guys that he's so strong, not just physically but emotionally too, where and mentally, where he's able to actually follow his friend's last wish and kill the Queen of Felena, and then become a fugitive. He literally became a fugitive for his friend. That's how close knit he is with his friends. That's how loyal this man is. That he will do whatever if you're close with him, and that's why he does what he does. So. Fantastic character. Just they really hit it out of the park with George.
Yeah. If there's gonna be somebody like that in Eiyuden, man, I would. Yeah, we do need someone that's like that for Eiyuden. I mean, we could say that for all the characters that we see that we have listed for our top 10, but just having somebody that's strong and mature. I would love to see that come back in some form or fashion for Eiyuden Chronicle. But yeah, that is our top 10 connected characters that we've connected with, basically. So that's pretty much it for the show, the episode. Guys, thank you so much for just hanging out with us, and just whether you're watching or listening to the podcast. Really appreciate you guys for the support. I apologize on my end that we haven't done much, but again, content creators, like once you get started on the thing, Luca's doing his own thing. Like I support him as much as I can. I do my own thing, and and it's likewise. But like we all have our own different journeys in terms of content creation, but we always come back to this of just sharing our love for Suikoden and eventually Eiyuden Chronicle. So don't think like, oh man, like no, this is gonna be the last one or anything. Like we'll come back to.
No, we'll definitely be back.
We'll definitely be back.
Also, I want everyone that watched to this point, leave your top 10 in the comments. I would love to hear your top 10 Suikoden characters. It doesn't have to be Stars of Destiny like mine or anything like that. We want to hear what your top 10 would be, and we'll be back, man. Right?
No,
we'll always make more podcasts.
Yeah, no. The idea is like maybe whether we space it out or we just want to hear from you guys. Like, what do you guys want us to talk about? What do you guys want us to dive into? Yeah, like I would love to hear from you guys. Just like what you guys want us to do when it comes to the podcast. But yeah, we'll be back. We're just doing our other stuff as well as doing the podcast. But expect another episode like sooner than this one right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me and Luca. Luca, where can they find you, and what are you doing right now in terms of your channel and your streaming?
Well, you can always find me on YouTube if you want, the True King of Highland, Luca Blight. You can always find me there, but we're very active over on Twitch, like daily active on Twitch.
Yeah.
We play through Suikoden, we play through Final Fantasies, whether it's Brave Exvius or Dokkan or whatever. We play through a lot of different stuff over on Twitch, so you can find me. The King of Highland, we have King Luca Blight over on Twitch, all one word. You can find me there, and we'll have a lot of fun with live on those streams.
Awesome. Yeah. So for me, you can find me. The YouTube channel is Nerd in the Bay. That I do a variety of gaming content. I'm currently going through. I stream on Sundays usually, and Mondays is kind of like the backup day if I don't stream on Sundays. We alternate between Wrestling Revolution 3D, kind of doing booking mode of like seeing how I do as the booker, trying to make this show like the show that I'm doing like as popular as I can be. And 5 dates, we're just learning about the main character, Vinny himself, as well as getting to know like these lovely ladies that are kind of interested in Vinny and see what their backstory is. So we're currently going through that. So we do that on Sundays, maybe Mondays. We kind of whether we alternate the games or we alternate the days. And then like I said, Nerd in the Bay, the channel, we're covering fighting games, we're covering role-playing games. Like I said, we're doing Suikoden 2. We're covering, what else are we covering? We're covering a bunch of stuff. It's just a bunch of variety gaming over at the YouTube channel. You can find me at Marco Polo 177. That's my main Twitter handle. You can find Luca Blight at Luca _Blight on Twitter. Just so you're able to like just connect with us and just just chop it up with us, talking about Suikoden or Eiyuden Chronicle. And let me see, I think that's pretty much it for what we're doing. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for listening, watching. Let us know your top 10 characters that you connect with from the Suikoden series. And until then, we'll see you guys next time for the next episode of the Stars of Destiny podcast. So have a great rest of your day or night, and we'll see you next time. All right, take care, guys. Peace.
See you later.